Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting of the Town of Pinetop-Lakeside Council to order. We do have a quorum here tonight. I'd ask you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing for the invocation.
Our eternal Father in heaven, we come before thee in the capacity of this council meeting and give thanks for this community that we have, for the citizens that reside here, and for the visitors who come and participate in our beauty and our activities. Father, we're mindful of the need to be good stewards in preserving the land, in strengthening the economy for the families, and in providing for our youth. And in all of these things, we seek thy guidance and direction, that we may be instruments in helping to bring progress and prosperity, mindful of quality of life that we all enjoy and live for. We ask thy guidance to be with us. Father, we're mindful of those who serve our country in armed forces and in first responders and the others who dedicate their time and even their lives to protecting the freedoms that we enjoy, and we ask thy blessings to be with them and their families. We're mindful of those who have suffered from the pandemic, and we ask guidance upon them. Those who have lost loved ones, that they may be comforted. We ask thy blessings to help us to overcome this and to be able to turn to a life of normalcy as much as possible. Now, again, we thank thee for the blessings we enjoy, for this beautiful area that we live in, and we seek thy guidance to be hands that thou would have us be to serve others, and do this humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Councilor Watson. Item B on our agenda tonight is call to the public. This is a business meeting of the Town Council. The town values and welcomes public input. Please address the council as a whole and not individual council members. Do not address staff or members of the audience. Council action on items brought up and called to the public is limited by the open meeting law. The council may direct staff to study the matter and reschedule for further consideration. Items on the agenda will not be heard and called to the public, and individuals are limited to 3 minutes. Lise, if you would like to come up. Apologize, I can't read your last name.
It's Louis Alcantar. Yeah, good evening. Members of Pinetop City Council, Mayor. We are bringing a collegiate all-star team to the city of Show Low. We're calling it the White Mountain Hawks is the name. We wanted to encompass the entire White Mountains to bring us together. It's a collegiate all-star team, and they're composed of Division I and Division II players from throughout the country. And one of the things we're going to be doing is we're going to be housing them here. And they're going to also need internships or jobs. But I want to welcome the city of Pinetop and Lakeside to get involved. This is something for the entire White Mountains. We formed it's called the Northern Arizona League. It's a collegiate all-star team. It's a summer league. And we'll be playing from the about June 21st, 2nd until August 7th, 8th. It's a short season. Because of COVID, we didn't know if they're going to allow us to play. And we just got the green light about 3 weeks ago. We were going to launch last year, way in advance, but everybody knows about the COVID. But I want to welcome the city of Pinetop and Lakeside to help us with this team. I think it's bringing something different atmosphere up here to the White Mountains, that being of collegiate kids playing collegiate ball. Some of these will be in the major leagues, down the line. In a little bit, I don't know, 2-3 years from now, you might see some of them. But other than that, that's pretty much what I have to say. If anybody has any questions, I know it's only 3 minutes. So.
Thank you for letting us know about that. If there's something that you need from our town staff, please let us know. And if I don't see a phone number on your
Yes.
also, maybe if you could leave that with somebody before you leave
I'll
tonight.
leave business cards and some of the camp info in the background. I know it's short notice, but we just got the green light 3 weeks ago, so we didn't know if we were going to play at all. So,
Well, thank you.
okay.
We wish you well.
Thank you.
Good luck. Item C on our agenda tonight is the consent agenda. All items listed are considered routine matters and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless a member of council requests that item or items are removed for discussion. Council members may ask questions without removal of the item from the consent agenda. Items removed are considered in their normal sequence unless called out of sequence. As you can see from the agenda, we have 2 items on our consent agenda tonight. Questions, Vice Mayor?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. That carries unanimously. Item D, business before the council. Public comment will be taken at the beginning of each agenda item after the subject has been announced by the mayor and explained by staff. Any citizen who wishes may speak one time for 5 minutes on each agenda item before or after council discussion. Questions from council members, however, may be directed to staff or a member of the public through the mayor at any time. Item D1 is the introduction of our interim community development David Whitaker and interim library manager Betsy Peck. Pete.
Yes, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor Smith, and Council. We're in a busy time of the year. I think Jill and I were talking today that I think it was Jill, heck, I can't remember, about how it seems like through the winter it was so busy and it seemed more like summer. It was so busy, and now we're on like a extreme fast track. And so we have a lot going on in the town right now. And so a couple of the areas that we're working with right now, with the resignation of Cody Blake, and here we are in the midst of a building boom. We were faced with trying to figure out how to fill that for the interim. So reached out to interim public management, and luckily we had a hometown boy living here in the area with lots of experience in this area, and in fact has worked for the city of Show Low in the past and also Navajo County. So he knows a lot of the players, the movers and the shakers, and has had experience working with many of the contractors we have up here. And so I'd like to introduce David Whitaker as our interim community development director, and give him a chance to step up to the podium, and he can say a few words about himself. And I teased him a couple of times and said, it's kind of like somebody asking for a drink of water, and we gave it to him with a fire hose. And so he's been really coming up to speed on our codes and reviewing building plans and just taking the bull by the horn in a lot of different ways. And I appreciate him. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you for those kind words. I'm glad to be here. I didn't know I was going to be here at all. It's providential, totally. The wife jerked me by the collar 3 weeks ago and said, "We're going to the house in Show Low." 2 weeks later, I get a call from IPM explaining that somebody up here in a jurisdiction needs somebody with my skill sets. And I didn't know who it could be, but I'm happy it was Pinetop-Lakeside. Got a chance to say affirmative to IPM. They said they checked with Pinetop-Lakeside and see if they wanted to interview me. The very next Friday, the next day, I got an interview. 2 days later, I started to work. And it has been that kind of schedule ever since. And I love being busy. I love having my hands in everything as much as I do. What I am impressed by is the hierarchy here, all the way from Keith and Kevin on down into the staff that I work with, how willing they are to cooperate and bring in a newbie to help them get acclimated to the culture here. Because even though I've been at Navajo County and Sholo, each culture that you work in is different. And so I just want to say that I'm happy to be here. I'm making, rekindling old friendships that I've made in the past. And I appreciate that. And I do, that is page 1 of 20. So,
What's his limit?
thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Dave.
Dave.
We appreciate you being here, and I understand you have hit the ground running, so keep up the good work.
And also, I'd like to commend our staff. They, in the couple of weeks when we didn't have anybody, our staff all stepped up to the plate and lifted to where they were standing to get to keep the ball rolling for us. And I really appreciate all their efforts. Annie and Christy in particular shouldered a great bulk of it. And then Frank Young, who is our facilities manager, happened to have construction, background as a registered contractor in electrical, and so he's been doing the inspections. And Dave's been out also on some of the inspections too. So everybody has been pitching in to help keep this thing going, and I appreciate it. Next, I'd like to introduce Betsy Peck. And for those of you that have been down to the library in probably the last 9 or 10 months, you will have met Betsy. If you follow on Facebook, if that's how you follow the library, you'll see a lot about the programs that she has instituted there. And again, in the time that she's been here, she has had a tremendous impact on the youth, the children, and the programs. So when I spoke with her, wasn't last week, it was the week before last, to see if she would like if she would be able to help us out in the interim rather than just be at a short interim. She said, hey, I'd like to try this on for a little bit longer. So if we could keep it as an interim, she'd be fine with that. And so she, there's a lot going on and a lot of moving parts, and she has just been so totally excited about this opportunity. And I think one of the, and she may say it, but one of the driving forces is her love for the library and the employees and the patrons. And that's why she wanted to do this. So Betsy, if you'd like to tell us a little bit, appreciate that.
Thank you, Keith. I appreciate that. Well, I do love a library. I'm a retired school teacher after a long career working in elementary and in elementary years, and then also at the community college level. So 2 years ago in May, I retired and wasn't sure what I was going to do and enjoyed a little bit of leisure, but I'm really too young to not have something going on. And when the programs librarian position opened last summer, I was like, that's what I want to do. And the library was in transition then because the director had been very ill, or the manager or the director, and so I knew in September or August when I came on that I wasn't ready to step into a manager role. I was like, I want to do programs. I want to do the fun stuff, my fun retirement job. And Bridget Blake was amazing. She was a wonderful leader, and I watched closely and learned from her how she was a manager, because I'd never been a manager of, so to speak, with that my title, but as a school teacher, you do manage kids and faculty. You manage, relationships with students. And so I have really big shoes to fill from Bridget Blake, but I'm very grateful that I'm going to have the chance. When Keith spoke to me, my focus was on our summer program. We were like 2 weeks out from launching it, and we did launch it last Friday. A huge turnout. It was really exciting. We're up to almost 200 kids have signed up for our summer reading program. And we're having an uptick in patrons coming in, new patrons that I've never seen before, new families coming in and saying, hey, they came to story time and Wiggle Worms this morning and my elementary program yesterday and my Legos on Monday. So it's really exciting to still to see the new families coming in. So my request to Keith and Kevin was, can I just do the interim for the summer because I really got to focus on my summer programs. I can't hand it off to somebody yet. And so I have hired 2 part-time 18-year-old girls who, high school and college student, and they're real go-getters. One I'm kind of trained to do to help me as a backup with some of, like, my Lego club. She's into the robotics and all Legos and everything. So, and then I have 2 volunteers who've come in just and said, hey, where can I help? And Mr. Krigbaum, Dr. Dave, he's been one of my Wednesday helpers with my elementary group, really pretty much all spring, and it's great. So I am torn. I love programs, but I also am happy to have this opportunity to try out the interim manager thing, and there's many skills I already have that I feel confident I can do well, but I have a learning curve too. And so our program will end the end of July, and then I'm going to take my little vacation that I want to take to go see my new granddaughter. And then in August, if I haven't decided for certain by then, in August I'll have a thinking seriously and kind of decision time. So, but thank you very much. I'm thrilled to have the opportunity, and that you have the faith in me to do it well. And I know I have a lot of help because I have a great group of colleagues where I am. And like I said, big shoes to step into, but I think I can do it. So thank you.
Thank you, Betsy, for your willingness to step up, too. I'm sure that you are going to do a great job. Okay, we'll move on then to item D2, is consider resolution number 21-1578 and designate Kevin Rodoff, Finance Director, as the Chief Financial Officer to file the annual expenditure limitation report with the Arizona Auditor General. Kevin's out of town assisting his brother, so I'll let Keith tell us about that.
You bet. I will pinch hit on this one. This is kind of a softball on this one. As you'll recall over the years, every year, according to Arizona revised statutes, we have to designate a chief fiscal officer so that we can file our annual expenditure limitation report. And so we've done this every year. And so basically presenting to you tonight to designate Kevin Rodoff, our finance director, as that chief fiscal officer. And he's done a great job over all this time, and nobody else deserves it but him. So.
We're glad to have him.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's probably watching right now, and he's going to shoot me later. So.
Councilor Buse?
I move that we approve resolution number 21-1578 and designate Kevin Rodoff, Finance Director, as the Chief Fiscal Officer to file the annual expenditure limitation report with the Arizona Auditor General.
Here, Councilor Hastings. Thank you. It's been moved and seconded to approve resolution 21-1578. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. That carries unanimously. Thank you, Kevin. Wherever he is. Item D3, consideration of resolution number 21-1579, approving a general easement agreement between the town of Pinetop-Lakeside and Edmund P. Zienkowski and Carolyn J. Zienkowski for drainage ditch maintenance associated with O'Malley Lane. Feel free to correct me. Matt.
Probably did a better job than I could have. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you're aware, in 2019 we had the flood event, the 1,000-year flood event that caused major flooding on O'Malley. During that time, during the FEMA and DEMA experience of gathering all the information that we needed to apply for the money to be reimbursed by the state of Arizona, we discovered that we do not own the ditch or have the rights to the ditch down O'Malley. So several letters have been sent to the homeowners explaining the situation and asking them to donate. So I expect over time to have several of these to bring to you, but this is the first one we have so far. We've got quite a few down through there, and we had a meeting yesterday, and I expect to see more of this coming forward in the future. Is there any questions or concerns?
Thank you for working hard on this.
Thank-
Yes.
Oh, he's-
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Counselor
I'll be glad
Snitzer.
to,
Thank you.
I move to approve resolution number 21-1579 and the general easement agreement between the town of Pinetop-Lakeside and Edmund P. Dokaleski and Carolyn.
I'll second.
Thank you, Counselor Snitzer. It's been moved and seconded to approve Resolution 21-1579. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Thank you. That carries unanimously. Thank you,
Thank you,
Matt.
Mayor.
Appreciate it. Item D4 is reports from council committee liaisons and town manager. Counselor Snitzer,
Okay, well, I'll start.
can you pull your mic down, please?
There we go. I'll start with the Nature Center. We're doing much better than we had a right to, I guess. We have rented out one of our buildings, and that's giving us enough income to run the place on. So we're sustaining ourselves through this financial crisis, and then we'll come back, I'm sure, roaring later on. But we're actually already starting to start our summer program. So we've got a full schedule of summer programs, and we've taken advantage of the real estate boom. We had some land that was donated to us a few years ago, and we were astonished at the price it sold for, but we were happily astonished. And that land's in escrow now, so we're building up our bank account, which we much appreciate after some lean times. And so things are looking good. And that's the only report I have right now.
Thank you. Counselor Watson.
Maybe just a general comment about the economy, not only here, but throughout the region. And as many of you know, housing is a major issue right now. Workforce is a major issue right now. And so I think there will be concentrated efforts to look at both of those. I know the governor is looking at the labor side on the state level and what can be done to help stimulate that labor force back into the market. And then on the housing side, I know there's several that are looking at various projects throughout the region to try and help with the housing needs that exist. So I personally have officially retired from Navajo County as the Economic Development Director, but I will continue to keep my fingers in the pie, if you will, to look at what are the opportunities that can be made to improve the economy for our local citizens and those that would desire to move here. I know several of the school districts have had opportunities to hire teachers, and they were more than willing to come, but were unable to find housing. I know at the hospital there's been a few instances of nurses that were in the same boat. So it is a significant issue, and I don't see it turning around right away. I think the economy is going to continue to stay strong, especially from a housing standpoint, at least for the coming years. So as a community and as a region, I think we all need to kind of think about what are the opportunities and things that we can do to help that lack of housing inventory to help foster new families and new growth in the area.
The Transit Authority committee that I'm on is, we're meeting again soon, so I don't have anything to update except ridership is still continuing to increase, and the numbers that I gave you guys at our budget meeting haven't changed any, so those will be okay.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. first of all, I want to say big thanks. As you know, I'm kind of passionate about the senior center and how much we appreciate not only the monetary part, and that's in our budget, but also for the fact that they come once a month and visit and enjoy a nice, nutritious meal and mingle with our customers who are always anxious to meet not only with the council, but with the police department. That is in evidence on that day. Also, the mayor's group of young people came over, and they're starting to come once a month. That's a big thing for us. They served, they cleaned up, they saw the unit, what was going on in the senior center. They were very enthusiastic, and all the seniors loved both of those groups. And I just wanted to say thank you for coming. We serve 536 meals in a month. We have a new cook in transition. He's quite awesome, actually. He will take the exam in June to be the manager, which is a requirement. He's not done that, but we anticipate that he'll pass the exam. He's quite an experienced cook. As you know, the senior center is for not only a nutritious and delicious meal, but socialization. We find that with various activities. We had a remodeling project for our giveaway of food, the Food for Families, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It was done by Recovery Works, a group of interesting gentlemen. I've not seen the women in the group, but I've seen the gentlemen that are coming. They've done a tremendous job, and of course it's all gratis to us, which is pretty nice. And I'm very appreciative of that. The gardening plans are in process. We've requested a $45,000 grant. We think we have a good possibility of getting some of that money, if not all of it. White Mountain and Cholo Garden Club received their money last year, so they're not in the running for the grant that we are over here in Pinetop-Lakeside. So anyway, keep your fingers crossed. We have some great plans for the garden. It's right behind the thrift store. The thrift store has continued to be strong. We have lots of people. They shop there all the time. Sometimes we have a $5,000 month, and sometimes we have a $22,000 month. We're anticipating when the people come up and they see our great bargains that we have, that it'll be a very successful part of our thrift store. We have all kinds of things going on. Jerry has his fantastic bridge club that keeps growing and growing. They may outgrow us before too long.
24 this week.
24 this week. So he's developed a bridge club. Lots of people want to play cards. We'll resume bingo as we get along more in the summer. Also, the movie of the week is always a highlight. And we have a nice group, and we were donated from the theater since they were closed for so long. They've given us forever the popcorn machine. So if you want really good theater popcorn, we're the place. And we serve it with lemonade on the movie day. It's a lot of fun. Come and visit. You don't have to be a senior. The meals are only $6. We're suffering like lots of restaurants are. The cost of takeout is going up. The paperwork, the styrofoam things, last year were 31 cents each for the box, okay? Now they're $1.30. And so the people are still paying $6, but we're on the losing end of that. So we have to make up a little bit of that. I look forward to working with the Senior Center and welcome any of you to come. And if you want to pass it forward, take advantage of the Food for Families bag of food on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We just started that. And we have a small response until we really get it going, but it will be going. We have a $10,000 grant that our director got for us. So that's what's going on in the Senior Center.
Just a short report on Blue Ridge. School's out. Tonight actually is the scholarship recognition, and tomorrow is graduation, and it'll be back to a normal type graduation in the football stadium there. Masks will be optional. Interesting enough, they're having a lock-in for those graduating seniors. And I was told by the board that a new auto is actually being donated from Hatch Auto Group. It's one of the prizes at that. Anyway, that sounded pretty good. But I think noteworthy too, there's several retirements, but two I think that are noteworthy for those of you who've been around and had children in the system. Coach Bob London is retiring after over 30 years there, and years before that as a student there. But Judy Peterson is retiring after 50 years of teaching at Blue Ridge. So it's not too many that long at the same place. That's a long time. So anyway, things are looking better for moving forward. So that's all I have.
That's good news, and I would like to offer personal congratulations to both Bob and Judy. Judy taught my husband in junior high school, so that was a long time ago, as well as both of my children, and then, of course, Bob's been there. So we, as a council, offer both of them our congratulations.
I have a lot of things to say. 20 pages worth? I don't think so. First, Forest Health Committee still has not met, and that's very disturbing to me. Cody was my hope of getting somebody moving on the Forest Health, and now I think it's something that needs to meet, and I don't seem to be able to get the chief to actually call a meeting. Next thing is, Jim didn't mention tracks. We are working on trails every Monday morning. We've had several new people join our crew, and that's really great. And Nick, our president, was on the Zoom meeting yesterday. That was the Summit of Arizona Trails, and we have joined, as Trax has joined that. It's a statewide group that Jim's Counselor Snitzer actually went to the summit a year ago. So it's moving along. Trax is doing very well. We will have our first general meeting on Saturday, June 5th. It will be a brunch at Woodland Lake Park from 11 until 1:30. It's a potluck, and you have to bring something to share. So that'll be a fun, finally get our members back to visiting and having a great time together. Next thing is the Natural Resources Working Group did not meet for the last 2 months, so we're still on Zoom with that, but it still exists. 4-for-I is in the same boat. They are still on Zoom. And then finally, my last report is Save Our Park. We have a wonderful Woodland Lake Park that the town is the proud owner of 107 acres that is no longer a pig in a poke. Our town manager referred to the purchase of the park as being not such a great deal because we had all these dead trees and no water in the lake. Well, right now we have a little water in the lake, and we have hopes of having regular amount of water in the lake because we're ready for it. The Public Works Group have dredged the lake. It will be so much better when Mother Nature does her job. And the path around the lake is phenomenal. It's 10 feet wide, totally handicap accessible. And this morning I walked around and there was a lady in a wheelchair, just so ecstatic to be able to do this. So it's a tremendous, tremendous help for the town, and I am just so happy about that. We will have the grand reopening next Wednesday at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I hope to see everybody there. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hastings. I'm sorry. Apologize. So I would like to report on the Humane Society. They are going, last year was their 50-year anniversary, but they were unable to have their celebration. So they are going to go ahead and do that on June 19th. That's their annual meeting. They'll serve hot dogs, and you can have a tour of the facilities. That will be from 11 to 1. They are planning on Happy Tales the last Saturday of August, and we're looking for a facility as a collection center for all the donated items. The Peterson Group has offered to allow them to use one of the unoccupied suites over at the Safeway Shopping Center. So I believe it's B6, but it's the one right next to Acute Nails. And so starting in July, they'll be there. The hours will kind of vary, so you have to keep an eye out for that, to accept your donations of goods, auction items, anything you've got for the Happy Tales auction, which is their biggest fundraiser of the year. So thank you, Keith, for putting them in touch with
You're welcome.
the Peterson group, because they are working with the society on that one. That's the only one I have to report on. I just want to remind everybody about our joint meeting with the Tuesday night
Yes.
at 6 o'clock.
Yes, so Jill told me she'd shoot me in the leg and leave me for the bears or the zombies if I talk too long tonight, so I'll keep this brief. I sent you out an email today to let you know, and she's going to shoot me anyways, so about the bond sale. That was, sitting there was like watching a pot of water waiting for it to boil. But there was a screen, and it was, you know, it got a little alarming because nothing was happening for the longest time. And Councilor Krigbaum and her husband were there to share in the excitement with us. And then finally, after 25 minutes, a sale happened, and then, or a purchase, and then I think it was about 35 or 40 minutes later before there was another flurry. But thankfully, it all came out well, and everything has been bought. And so now we're going to be able to move forward with our construction on our police department when we get the plans all done. So we're excited, and we'll be able to, on July the 1st, the funds will become available, and our PSPRS unfunded liability will go away. And so we'll hope that that doesn't come back. But thank you all for your support in helping us to get to this point. There's that 10 months of long period going to get to this point, and now that's just the beginning of the next step. So we're looking forward to that. That's all I've got.
Thank you. That concludes our business. So this